Welcome to the Coach Barnabas podcast. It's time to take a few minutes and leave behind the stuff that drains us and recharge our batteries with some encouragement and insight. Finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Hi, welcome back. This is Corey with Coach Barnabas, and I just want to welcome you to episode 42. And this is the second video in a series of 3, where I'm sharing personal stories from my life that relate to times where I was either directly or indirectly affected by behavior and decisions and circumstances or incidents that affected me personally, in some cases directly, some cases indirectly. So this is the second video in that series. This one is one that affected me personally. It was directly to me. The first video I talked about when I was playing baseball. This one is going to be directed towards the time when I was in high school playing basketball. And I'll just lay a little bit of groundwork so you can understand, a little bit of the fundamental to this particular experience. So basketball was a sport. Again, I mentioned previously, baseball was my favorite sport to play, but not the one I was best at. Basketball was a sport I was best at. By no means was I an all-star or anything like that, but I had a lot of success playing basketball. I was generally a starter on every team I played for. So I was one of 5 of the best players on pretty much every team I played on. So again, I was a decent basketball player. When I got to high school, I played on our freshman team. My first, when I was in 9th grade, I was a starter and one of the lead players in the team, and we had pretty good success. And we had a new varsity coach that came to the high school. That was his first year as the varsity coach. Under him was our JV coach, and then beneath him was our freshman coach. That was the team I was on. And the varsity coach, we'd have open gyms, and he, of course, ran the program. So he was obviously very invested in our development from freshman to JV into varsity. So he saw some potential in me that he believed in. And when the season was over, he referred me and one other player on our team to a rather prestigious basketball camp that was being held in Southern California, in Los Angeles area. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, as you may remember, in a relatively small town and a relatively small school. But he had referred us to this invitational basketball camp being held in Los Angeles. A lot of NBA players participated in the camp, and guys who went on to play in Division I college basketball and eventually the NBA were part of this camp as fellow campers like myself. So there's myself and one other guy from our team selected by our varsity coach to participate in this thing. So, I had caught the attention of the varsity coach. He believed in me, invested in me. And so, I had that confidence in him, which of course boosted my confidence. I felt very good about my position in, the development process and eventually getting to the varsity and, playing at a high level. Once finished the freshman year, this is the summer between freshman and sophomore year. Sophomore year, we move on to the JVs, and I started the first 6 games on the JV team. Now, what was interesting about that is when you are a starter, you have 5 players on a basketball team. So usually your tallest guy is your center, and then your next biggest guys are your forwards, and then you have guards. 2 or 3 guards, and they tend to be smaller guys in stature, quicker, all that kind of stuff. And so I was what you might call a small forward. So you have your center, and then a bigger forward, like a power forward, and then I was like the 3. And the 3 is usually a guy who's maybe a little bit smaller, but better offensively, and not to get too deep in the weeds there, but that was my position, and I was the best one on the team in that position, and I was a starter. I told you I started the first 6 games, but here's a little thing to that. The coach would take me out of the game generally in the first quarter, and I never got back in the game. And it wasn't like I was out there flailing away and making tons of mistakes or not trying, or anything along those lines. He would take me out, and that was routine. You take somebody out, give them a chance to rest, and then you reinsert them back into the game. That's how basketball works. But he would never put me back in the game. And this confused me because I'm obviously good enough to start. Why are you taking me out for the rest of the game before the first quarter even ends? And I never got an explanation, and I never got the courage enough to ask, hey, coach, and I was kind of raised, if you don't really ask these questions, and maybe I should have, whatever, that's another thing, but I didn't. Kind of accepted it, but I let that fuel me. It's like, why the heck is this happening? And so I worked hard, 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 hard. And I even had a friend of mine who I shared a class with, and she was on the girls team. She was on the girls varsity team. And our JV practices usually were before the girls varsity practice, because it was like the freshman boys, freshman girls practices, and the JV girls, JV boys, varsity girls, varsity boys. So we had one court, indoor gym. And so they would show up towards the end of our practice. The varsity girls would show up as we were still practicing, and they'd stretch and loosen up and get ready for when our practice ended. They'd take over the court and begin their practice. So I had a friend that I shared a class with who was on the girls varsity team. And I remember her coming to me saying, why are you not being played? Why are you being taken out and not playing? And after the first 6 games, I barely played at all. Not only did I not start, but there would be games where I'd get no playing time at all. And this confused me even more. And so I wrestled with it. I struggled with it. It ate at my confidence, but I still worked hard in practice. I still gave everything I had. Every time we had drills, I was usually the first one, when we're doing sprints and all the different things. I usually finished first in all these things. And my friend would come to me and say, well, why are you not playing? You're working your butt off out in practices. You're obviously, one of the better players. You were starting. And I didn't know. And it was troubling me. And we went on through the season, and it just never got any better. And so it was very demoralizing to me. And I essentially lost my joy in this. And in the off season, the varsity coach came to me and said, due to your lack of playing time, I think it would be best for your development if you spend one more year in the JVs. Because typically you go freshman, play your sophomore year in JVs, and then you play your junior and senior year in the varsity team. So basically, myself and maybe one or two other guys were going to be held back and stay on the JV team. Now, if it were something where I felt like I needed the development, okay, it is what it is. I'm not one of the better players. But in a case where it felt personal, and the coach was going to be the same guy that I had my sophomore year, I just said, forget it. I'm not going to play for this guy again, because he obviously has something personal towards me. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to play for him. And so I sat out my junior year. And then when my senior came up, I decided I wanted to be part of this. I wanted to be part of this team. I wanted to get back in the game. So I tried out, made the team. But because I missed my junior year, I hardly played. And we had a very good team, championship team. And, we had great success. We won our league. We went on to our Northern California State Championship. We played our last game at the Oakland Coliseum, where the Golden State Warriors played for decades. So we had great success, but unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play that much. And it was really largely due to the fact that I'd missed my junior year. I still was a quality player, but the other guys who stuck it out and played their junior year would play ahead of me. So that was something where I look back on, and again, I kind of quit on something based on how I was personally treated by the coach, and never got an explanation. I never, Corey, if you just do this, I'm not seeing this in you. I want you to work on this. There was never any of that. And as a leader in my life, if somebody were struggling or underperforming, or they could do better, or I'm looking for something from them, I'd communicate that to them. Hey, here's what I need from you. Here's what I want you to work on. The reason you were playing and you're not playing is this. There was never any of that. And like I said, maybe I should have gone and approached him and talked to him, but whatever. But I gave up my junior year, and it was painful to go to the games and root for my friends and see my uniform running up and down the court that I should be in, but somebody else was wearing it. And just being a fan, it was brutal hard for me. But that was a choice I made, and the consequence was when I returned for my senior year, I'd missed the year and didn't play as much as I would have, perhaps, and maybe as much if I'd played my junior year on the JVs. But I saw that as kind of a slap in the face, and so my pride got in the way. But anyway, I gave it up, and at times I really regret it. At other times, it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't want to play for that guy either. But that was another time where I quit on something based on the actions of another person. And that leads up to the next video where I'm going to share another personal story, but this time I didn't quit. And so I look forward to sharing that story with you here real soon. So trust me, there's encouragement coming at the end of this. At least I hope you'll find it encouraging. So I do want to remind you to be encouraged, be an encourager. I do look forward to talking again really, really soon. Take care.
Thank you for joining the Coach Barnabas podcast. We'd greatly appreciate your support by liking and subscribing to the podcast and setting up notifications so we can let you know when new episodes are available. We'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment. Make a difference today.